Um, Here we go. This was not planned very far out, so let's rock and roll. There's a so part of the reason that I thought about doing this live stream was Sam Tiedemann and Trip Parker and Sarah and myself and PVK are going to be doing a Barbie combo, God willing, this Friday, I think. So that's a first off question for this morning. Barbie, good or bad, art or not? Um, because and this will probably get into stuff that I'm wanting to talk about, which is Peter Rollins and Ontic Unknowing. I should probably look up his podcast recently, where he's been talking about a lot of this stuff because it's just been killer. A lot of the stuff that he's been talking about. Oh, and I put this in there. Yeah, Freud is Freud. He said typically Darwin has become kind of the darling of the scientific world. Like Darwinian evolution is kind of the major paradigm that a lot of science likes to operate within. And he says that very often Freud is interpreted within Darwin because you have a what's up, Fleas? Because you have these over everything is nested in something else. So like you maybe have a overarching paradigm, and then you have uh, embedded paradigms within that and frames within that that make sense. But you have kind of a guiding framework, a guiding narrative, something like that. And so he posits the question in his most recent podcast entitled what's the name of it? The Death Drive, because this is about the Death Drive, and he at the beginning of it he posits that usually people interpret Freud within Darwin, but he thinks you need to interpret Darwin within Freud, and that has to do with the Freudian death drive, which I think is very connected. I mean, obviously, it's connected to Rollins' ideas of unknowing being ultimate and lack being ultimate, and this is an ongoing debate that I have with, or not debate, but it's an ongoing discussion, an ongoing midrash that I've been having with Yosef. So Yosef, I know I was talking to him this morning. He's busy going to work doing something, so he might not be listening to this. But Chezi, if you're out there, you can hit me up with what you think. If because Rollins, what he's positing basically with his ontic unknowing is that. So again, the framework. Rollins' big work with pyrotheology, which is kind of his thing, is that psychoanalytically, a lot of what drives human beings this pursuit of the lack, this thing that promises to make you whole and complete, whatever you're pursuing. So and this is symptomatics. The alcoholic is pursuing alcohol because he thinks, well, that will make me, that will remedy whatever my problem is. But then you have to get deep enough into your alcoholism to rock bottom, whatever rock bottom is. We had this discussion with Chad. What is rock bottom? We were talking about this the other day. And rock bottom is basically just like where we had a consensus basically that rock bottom isn't when you've just like you have no other resort, but it's when you've had the realization or the epiphany or the quickening, the enlightenment to realize that um you're ready for a metanoia, you're ready for a change, you're ready for repentance, you're ready to actually do something different rather than keep using because the alcoholism is the symptom of a deeper disease, or as Chad would say in alcoholism, the spiritual malady, whatever your spiritual malady is. And but all of that is you could frame all of that within the greater spiritual pattern of the lack, the libidinal pursuit of the lack, which is whatever, fill in the blank, whatever promises to make you whole and complete. And so Rollins would like to frame that a lot of modern religion, claims to fill your God-shaped hole. If you just do this, you just say this prayer, you just get Jesus, you just believe these things, you just do these things, you just whatever the religious institution is telling you to do. And this is religious and irreligious because everything's religious, everything's spiritual. everything is oriented toward whatever highest good that they think they see, the right side of history, whatever. You that and then if you just do X, if you can just get X, then you'll be happy. Rollins will talk about this in terms of materialism. If I just have this amount of money per year, if I can just travel this much, if I get FU money, people talk about that. The kind of money where all your bills are paid, universal basic income, whatever. Or if you just get self help, enough compassion, you do enough yoga and breathing exercises and meditation and then you'll get peace, you'll get transcendence, you'll get nirvana, you'll get whatever. But like all of that can be a trick of this pursuit of the lack. But and Rollins what Rollins basically posits is that you never get there. There isn't a lackless existence. To exist is to have the lack to some degree. That's what he's positing. So like he would say the lack goes all the way down even into God himself. So to lack is to exist, is to be, is whatever. And so that was a long excursion. So to get back to Freud and death drive, is escaping death, is escaping, is transhumanism, is eternal life really a libidinal pursuit of the lack? Um, and and Freud, I think he's saying that like you can't. I don't know. I need to re-listen to that episode actually, because Rollins, like, I think Rollins is really like my metal detector gold really goes off with Rollins, and I'm just like, there's a lot here to learn and to glean, but his work is really hard to talk about because I honestly think that it's kind of at the vanguard of at least a modern articulation of what's happening, and what and like at the peak of kind of philosophical articulation of what's going on. And so yeah, like so that's part of it. What else? Barbie. So one of the things I'd like to ask, I don't know, I would love everybody's thought on this. We can all psychoanalyze me, and I would love your thoughts and what my issue is, because here I am coming with transparency and sharing my blemishes in a way that isn't already worked out and cleaned up, which I think is a helpful thing to do for people. So, what up, Dolly? Um, so as we've been talking about Barbie, part of this is my own psychology, and I need to become comfortable with this. But as I've been talking about Barbie with Sam and Trip, who, spoiler alert, this won't ruin our conversation Friday, but uh, they weren't fans necessarily. Trip more adamantly so, and Sam in certain ways. He didn't he was not nearly as gung ho about Barbie as I was, and we've talked about it a lot, not in recorded public forums, but through social media things, just like voice and text, uh, apps, and it really bothers me. Like, I was saying this to Chad this morning because he was sending me sleep token stuff. So check out sleep token. Chad loves it. Chad is here, and I just told him, like I just for whatever reason, part of it is my quote that I love all the time. What you see and hear depends a lot upon where you're standing and the kind of person you are. So your tastes will somewhat change throughout time, but like I don't like sleep token for whatever reason. Their music, I can appreciate aspects of it, but it's just not my vibe. And so even my interaction with Chad this morning is helpful for me interacting with Trip and Sam about Barbie, because I can be very what is it? I mean, I don't know, negatively, you could say emotionally needy or codependent or whatever. I When people that I love do not love things that I really enjoy, it bothers me, hurts my feelings, and makes me mad negatively. Like it's really a struggle, and And I was trying to process that through with Trip, and Trip can also be a little, well, I don't want to share anything about him. And so, and then that bothers Trip. And I'm just like, how can I be okay? So that can be a libidinal pursuit of the lack to me, right? Is I want us to all joy in the same thing. I want us to take pleasure in kind of that. C.S. Lewis says, lovers look at each other, right? And they're mirroring each other and they take pleasure in the other. Whereas friends are more oriented towards something else and they take pleasure in the thing. C.S. Lewis says, like, when you discover someone else who's into something and you're like, oh, you too. And you immediately have that solidarity and that joy together. That's kind of like what I have with Barbie. And it's when people, especially, and I don't think Trip is doing this, this will come out in the conversation or friends. I've watched some of the Barbie reviews and they piss me off. Like I don't know if anybody knows of a good Barbie review that has a negative take on it, um, that they think is good, you could share it with me. Put it in the comments or just tell me about it somehow if you know how to get a hold of me. Because I'd love to watch it because most of the takes that I've granted, most of the takes both side are what I think are relatively superficial. They're political and they're either like, Barbie's making this political point that I like, and it's all within power dynamics, and it's gross to me. It's tribal. It's just like, Barbie's really pro woman, or and I love that. Or Barbie's really like pro feminist, and it's like crapping on men, and I'm just like, come on. Like if that's all it is, then it's a propaganda piece and it sucks and it's not good art. But I don't think that's what it's really going about. So and I've talked about that at length with them, and they just don't necessarily see what I see or agree with me, and that makes me sad. So Chad says here, let's go to some comments here, and then I have one more kind of comment to make, maybe, hopefully, briefly, and then I'll drop a link here because I don't want to be here too long. I got stuff to do. So Chad says he's listening. He says it's our immature spirit that we've been destined to carry until either he takes it away or we drop it or both. Who knows? Do you think it's merely immaturity? Because that's part of it. I mean, I have that residual POS or self-judgmental, condemnatory, self-loathing spirit that wants to say, well, it's my own immaturity. But I don't think it's merely my own immaturity. That's part of it. It's easy to see that in the same way that it's easy to see negative things in other people and to focus on negative. It's easy to do that in ourselves, right? Also, I don't think it's merely, and maybe when you say immaturity, you're not even saying that negatively. Um, I don't think it's merely immaturity, Chad. I think it's a desire for communion, but again, to bring in the Rollins thing, communion is not necessarily community, where he says community is people gathered around a common idea where we're just like, oh, this idea, like that's because that's identitarianism, right? We are all X. We've all filled out this form and you know, we are all pro whatever. I don't know. I don't want to say something controversial because then it'll trigger political thinking and we'll get tribal. But like what's something silly? Like we're all pro, I don't know, there's a Christmas tree. We're all pro Christmas trees on Christmas, but then there's people that are like, no, we're anti Christmas tree because that's a pagan thing. And then you're just like, and so community is just like pro Christmas tree people or anti Christmas tree people. Either way, that's the community thing in the Rawlian sense. And then gathering together around a common lack, and that would be unknowing. Like we don't, like this is a tradition that we've been handed, but we don't fully understand it, and or it's even the dialogos or the midrash or the conversation around this knowing and unknowing relationship. So you say, so the expression of woundedness is underdeveloped childishness. Woundedness, yeah, I think that's true. The woundedness aspect is a form of immaturity or childishness, uh, not a pejorative. I don't know. It's kind of a pejorative, but all right. Let's see. R. Shane Jenkins. So much joy in flipping the lack over into shared passion for so much joy in flipping the lack over into shared passion for exploration and care. Yeah, because that is very much the Rollins idea of communion, exploration, care. uh, the pursuit of the unknown, or that there's a lyric uh, from Clem Snide. He has that song which is "Forever Just Beyond" from his album. What's the name of the album? It's not his most recent album, but it's such a great song, "Forever Just Beyond." And he says, "God is that which." I probably have to sing it to think of it, and I'm trying to think of the tune. God is that which lies forever just beyond the limit of what we already seem to know. Such a great song. Um, Also, plug for Clem Snide. That album, he did a acoustic set of a lot of the songs on that album with the Avett Brothers, like in the Avett Brothers barn. It's pretty dope. It's pretty sweet. Chad says there's a difference between woundedness and longing. Yes, my woundedness comes from self-centered shame. I agree with that. I think uh, if they don't like what I like, there must be something wrong with me. That's the spirit of Judas. I'd have to think about that for a while. Uh, Phlebas. Barbie seems like a pretty inconsequential thing to get fired up over. Maybe, but this what I'm talking about. So, to quote the great Rob Bell, "God is he about whom we must never speak, but we must always keep speaking." And then I like to add on to that, "as is everything," because everything is an icon. Christ is the icon of the invisible God. But John 17, in the same way that he has love with the Father, and that you don't know God without knowing Christ, you don't know Christ without knowing your brother or your enemy or your son or your neighbor or your whatever. So everything, God is he that always lies forever just beyond the limit of what we already seem to know. It's always further up and further in. But so is everything. So are people. So is a table. Science tells us that. Like, you don't ever know anything fully in an encapsulated way. Anything ever. And so Barbie, in the same way that Barbie is inconsequential, it's also not inconsequential. Because if it exists, if it's in this world, if it has existence, always an infinite amount that you could go into it, whether positively or negatively or anything. And this is what I was saying to Trip, in a way, and Sam. And this is very much that Maximus quote from the Ambiguum, which I say this every time. I need to memorize that flippant thing. But like, the will of God, very God, wills in all places and at all times to embody or to manifest the mystery of Christ in all things, in all places, at all times. And so I think this applies to everything. So if you have eyes to see, this is Christ consciousness. Christ, God, meaning, truth is in everything. Everything. Even the thing that you think is antithetical to that and opposite of that, there's truth in it if you have eyes to see. And not just in a critical way, in a positive way. Like, I could illustrate a lot of things. Death. Is death antithetical to life? Yeah. But guess what? Christ redeemed all. Christ, the book of Romans, right? God subjected all to sin and death, that all may be reconciled in Christ. So, thanks for listening. So, uh, Barbie is identity of identity and non-identity. Barbie's inconsequential. Well, it's also of consequence. I would say it's both. Do you get equally mad at the guys over more important things, or accept the differences? Well, like being a Trinitarian. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so let me take my own advice and lean into your criticism, even though I may disagree with it, see the truth that's there. Um, I think the same thing applies. This is the last thing that I would add before I send out the link. I think I have gotten upset with Sam or anyone before, because this is my whole uh case for personalist knowing, is, and there's a great Viktor Frankl quote that Michael Lady shared with me once, which is probably in my phone. I could find it and quote it. Viktor Frankl about like loving, and it's essentially Esther Meek loving to know. Or there's a great N.T. Wright article about it. Is that you basically don't know anything until you love it. So like, and that's the hardcore personalist knowing. That's also First Corinthians 9. I think that's what St. Paul is saying. Like love knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. If anyone thinks he knows, he does not yet know as he ought to know. That whole quote. And so, in a sense, I would argue. I'm also simultaneously looking for a quote here. I think I have that Viktor Frankl quote. Well, I'll be able to find it. Um, I found it. Oh, how fast was that? Um, and so, like to me, it would just be like you can't understand anything that I'm saying to you by merely using my words as objects and seeking a definitional, closed, bounded, encapsulated understanding of my words, because then you're using my words against me as objects when I am the meaning maker of my words. I am the speaker of my words. Again, it's a personal, relational way of knowing because words are icons. Definitions are icons. They're not these static things. That's part of the objectivist mindset, which is my whole broader argument that which is wrong. Like I don't think objectivism is wrong, And so like to understand me is to love me. You won't understand me until you love me. And so that's part of it is like if you loved me properly or if I loved Sam properly, you could turn it around, flip my own logic on myself. Like if I was more loving, I would understand why they don't agree with me, perhaps, which is this thing that I'm talking about. That's the kind of unknowing that I'm talking about. That's the kind of self-emptying, not not staying in this platon or static ideal like Barbie, but entering self-emptying, Philippians 2, entering into the unknowing where I die to my own conceptions, my own understanding, my insisting on my own way and love someone else so much to the point that I can empathize and agape their argument into being and see what they're saying, no matter how poorly they're saying it. That's the kind of personalist knowing that I'm advocating for, not the objective kind of understanding, which is arguing for this abstracted, non real truth, because persons exist, not an disembodied truth, not some static ideal of truth. Like you search the scriptures because in them you think you find life, but they talk about me. You could pursue the God of the philosophers, this unreal, unincarnate God. That God doesn't exist. Christ exists. Jesus exists. People exist. That's my argument. Okay, the Viktor Frankl quote, and then I'll drop the link. Here we go. Copying the link. I would love for people to come play. So if you want to come play, come play. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Humans are definitionally unknowable by each other. In a quantitative, encapsulable way, yes. But we do know things. Have you listened to any Jordan Daniel Wood? Like he says that. Like this is what Paul talks about anytime in a relationship too. Like if you hold your spouse up to your closed knowledge-based understanding of them, they don't like that. They'll get very mad. They'll but he's like, but I know my wife. Of course I know her. I'm in relationship with her. But I don't know her in a way that I can systematically encapsulate and hold her to some abstracted standard that isn't her. Like she is the meaning maker. She is of everything. I mean, that's kind of my whole point. Okay, Viktor Frankl quote. Love is the only way to grasp in another human being in the innermost core of his personality. No one can become fully aware of the very essence of another human being unless he loves him. By his love, he is enabled to see the essential traits and features in the beloved person. And even more, he sees that which is potential in him, which is not yet actualized, but yet ought to be actualized, the true self, the white stone name. That's my insertion. Furthermore, by his love, the loving person enables the beloved person to actualize these potentialities, agape, by making him aware of what he can be and of what he should be. He makes these potentialities come true. That's person making. Yes. So are you loving Sam and Trip too much? What I'm probably doing is be careful, you who judge, for in your judgment you condemn yourself. I'm wishing they would love me more and understand me more. And in doing so, I am judging myself. In my judgment of them, I'm judging myself because that's what I want, but I'm not doing that to them. Because if I were agaping their disagreement of me and as a means of doing that, sorry, I should have used my cough button. And if I were doing that well, relationally, even though this is like an intellectual, we're just talking about ideas, but in talking about ideas, I'm loving them because I'm loving their ideas by an extension of them, their ideas as extensions of themselves, as part of the expression of the multiplicity of their identity, and I'm just not doing it well. Um, so thank you all for helping me see that. I will my perhaps that self-awareness is enough to uh, quicken my repentance. Um, is person making more than person seeing? It's a good question. Um, Probably. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. So there's the link if anybody wants to jump in and play. Um, it's person making more than person seeing. I suppose. I suppose it's more than seeing in that it's because as a Neo Chalcedonian incarnational Christian, I would say that being involves incarnation, and seeing to me doesn't seem uh necessarily fully incarnational. It's part of the uh, as far as acting, y- um you know manifesting yourself in the world. Seeing is part of that, I think, because I think seeing is part of the multiplicity of the fullness, the unity of all of that, which is acting, being in the world. Yeah, and I think you can't really have one versus the other. I think you need to see to be in the world, like seeing, and not necessarily like vision. I'm not being ableist against blind people, but a blind person sees too. They just don't see in the same way that a sighted person sees. Um, okay, we're clarifying here. I am just uncertain about the role of maker we play versus the divine. Well, I think we are. Well, again, like I don't think that there's a. I think creation is a coincidence of opposites and a simultaneous reciprocity because there isn't, or it's relational even within uh, the Trinity or the Godhead or Father, Son. The New Testament talks about that, or First John talks about that. Creation through the Logos. But there has to be a relationship there because, like I've talked about this before, like a static monad can't create anything because even if you posit potentiality, like the Big Bang, the easiest way for us moderns, I think, to understand this is the Big Bang. But even the Big Bang had potency, or else it wouldn't have become. If there were no potency in the singularity before the Big Bang, so even when you say something like it had potency, you're immuting or you're attributing more than just one. Because if it was just a monad, there would be nothing outside of it to even see it. Their potency, being and potency would all be one, you couldn't even differentiate that, and there wouldn't be creation. So with God, it's the same thing. Uh, like God, there has to be a relationship within God to even create, I would say. And so there's some kind of pre-incarnate relationality, which I think is like that stuff is starting to get well beyond my pay grade, though. But I think even when it comes to God and our own, I've thought this before. So how's this for an idea? I think we as images of Christ, who is the Logos, um, and is by through whom and by whom all things were created. I think we are participating in that same kind of creation, and John Baer would say Christ crucified, and Maximus would say this is the is Christ creating the tree of life. So death and life are one, and the tree of life, or the Timothy, the guy who wrote the Ethics of Beauty, whatever Timothy Greek name at the end, would say like, you know, Adam after eating of the tree of the knowledge saw the tree of life and saw Christ crucified and said no and turned away from that, whereas Christ embraced that. So that's the true Adam, is the embrace of death and life and death being one. And so reconciling all in his death, again, Christ doing that. There is no, that's the creation of the world. So that's the true man. So there is no God without man. I think that's the implication of the incarnation. And I know that will sound heretical to some people, but that's also how like divine simplicity is kind of the static ideal. But I think you need a process theism to kind of work with that. So there we go. There's my honest Jordan Peterson. You know, say what you really think and let the cards fall where they may. That's where I'm at. That's how it looks to me. Um. So what up, Chad?
What up?
So when we are seen and can see what others see in us, become, realize, believe. Yeah, I think that's kind of what that Viktor Frankl quote is saying. That's kind of the mirroring each other type thing. So, what do you think there, Rosef? You
Uh,
sleep
so
token? Movie?
I know it's weird. It's weird because I honestly don't know why I love them so much. Like I think people think I'm joking
I
about
don't think
this,
you're joking.
but like some people do, I think. But it's not. They're like I think there's just something. The thing that's so crazy to me is like I haven't loved music like that since I was like 13. And when I like first discovered David Gilmour playing, uh, it was probably like "Shine on You, Crazy Diamond" on the "Delicate Sounds of Thunder" concert, which is all of this is Pink Floyd, by the way, for people who don't know. I was 13, I was 12, and I saw that, and like I remember the moment it happened, and I fell in love with music in a way that I never have before. And like I went out and I like did all. It was like the first time in my life where I was compelled to go out and learn about this band. I need to know about this band, and then from there, my obsession with music just went.
Yeah.
And and then like over the past 10 years or more, I've been like so unbelievably bored and and disenchanted with music. And then I and then like I heard Sleep Token maybe a couple of years ago. They had some stuff that came out and it was really good. I thought it was pretty good, but it wasn't good enough to really grab my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard a couple things here and there. And then on my way home from Chino, I was in the airport. It was that day. Um, they put out their latest record, and the song "Take Me Back to Eden" just completely blew my mind. And I was like, "Oh my God! Like I need to know more about this." And I have been basically listening to everything. Like I listened to that whole record for like basically a month straight, and then I started listening to their older stuff. And I just like, and it's weird because the newest record made me fall in love with it, which made all the other records really equally as great. And I can't tell which one I like the most.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think so. I think part of what I love about it is the mystery aspect of it. We don't have a lot of this in the arts anymore. Like everything is always like, here's your piece of art, here's what you're supposed to think, and here's what you're supposed to see and hear. And this band is like, we're gonna be anonymous. You're not gonna know who we are. You're not gonna know what we mean. All the images we have are all iconic images. They're all very
Mm-hmm.
strange. Nobody knows anything, so it's very interactive. It invites you to have an experience with it, and I think that that's so cool. Like everybody knows what whoever I don't care. T-Pain is eating for breakfast this morning, because he's tweeting this shit. But like, you're not gonna get that with this group. You don't even know their name. Like I know their name because I
Yeah.
had to do a lot of research
Because
and
I've been
even
on Reddit, son, deep.
yeah, because I'm ridiculous. But I don't know. That's why I think I love it. Now on this other topic, I'm on a smoke break, so this other
Mm-hmm.
topic that you have about um, like the like what I was talking about with this woundedness feeling that we have when people don't
Mm-hmm.
like what we like or they seemingly don't like or whatever. And the reason why I said I have this at home is like one day um, I went to my wife and I said I really want to go to uh, that parade in town. We live in this real small town. I'm like, I want to go to the parade. And she's like, "Oh, that's fine." Like, she's like, what's the big deal?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think it's like this honor as a homeowner to go to your town parade and engage with the town. And I should probably go to the town meetings and stuff, which I've been to one of them, but I haven't been to more." And she's like, "Oh, that's interesting." She's like, "What's really interesting, Chad, is you find that so interesting, and yet you won't go and mow your lawn." And I was like really wounded by that. But like she's
Oh.
like, I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just telling you, it's just interesting to me. Like you care about being a homeowner, but you don't want to mow your lawn. Man, how's it going, Paul?
Good,
Yeah.
Chad. I love what you're doing. Keep going.
So it's just weird to me because like she's right, and like we recently had a similar discussion, and one night, a couple nights ago, she's like, what did she say? She's like, "You're so eager to be wounded, like you're just looking for something." And I'm like, "Son of a bitch!" And like,
Chad, if
and
we ever get together, our wives are gonna have to hang out because I'm just you talking about this is making me have realizations. Because one of the things I most love about my wife that I've realized as we've been married is that man, we're just very different people. Sometimes we think now, because I mean we've been together like over 20 years, and we think like if we'd have known who we would have become or who we are now or who we were more so, because I mean we met when we were like 19 or whatever, 18, and we were just like, would that person have even liked this person? And so, because one of the things she does all the time, realizing we're so different, is she just sees the world very differently. And she'll just challenge me on stuff because I come in just like super passionate, fired up, very absolutist in my thinking, very zealous, and she like not even trying to be a contrarian, but she's like a 9 on the Enneagram, so she can see a lot of perspectives. She's not nearly as self-absorbed. She's very others focused, and so she'll be like, "Well, it could be this," and like all of a sudden, I'll just be like, "Holy shit, it could be that," you know.
yeah,
And she just challenges me with that stuff. So like to any degree that like I don't know, I kind of probably pat myself on the back somewhat unconsciously, and am and like that I'm open-minded, like in a true sense. But a lot of that's just because of my wife,
well,
you know.
you have a one leg up on me because I'm imagining both you and your wife have parents that are still married, and so you guys probably have a pretty well balanced upbringing. Now, in my house, my wife has parents that are still married, and my parents both have been married and divorced several times, and like I don't, and listening, watching Paul's video, part of Paul's video today, I'm like, geez, like like if it wasn't for Jordan Peterson, first of all, I wouldn't be married. So it was Jordan
Mm,
Peterson's talking about the candle ceremony, which after I heard that, I'm like, I had to ask my wife to marry if she would marry me because like that made so much sense to me. It went from oh, marriage is a piece of paper to no, this is a sacred thing.
Yeah.
And so that came from Peterson. But now it's like, shit, man, I got married and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. and and it's like it's painful too, because like I want like the egoic part of me is like I really want, it's mixed between ego and desire. So I really want to be a good husband,
Hmm.
but I really don't want to do the fucking lawn, you know? And I don't, pardon my language, but and so stuff
Forgive
like
you.
that. It's like it's like and how do I, cuz and then we had this talk yesterday, and she's okay, so I got this meeting. A friend of mine wants to start a meeting. I didn't want to start a meeting because I've done that before, and it's fun and all, but like there can be a lot of ego that gets wrapped up in there. So I've been putting off starting this meeting. Well, we left our home group to go find a new home group so we could find new guys to work with. That was the whole point. Well, we started looking at these other groups, and there's no new guys at these new groups. So the whole time my buddy's like, we got to start this meeting, and I'm like, no, 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 no. And so now we finally came to the point where, all right, we're probably going to start this meeting, and we're going to put it in a place where there's going to be new guys. And okay, fine. And I'm telling my wife about this, and then she says, that's great and all, but like you really need to go in the front ditch, needs to get the leaves raked out of it. And I'm like, I'm talking about this meeting. And she's like, I know, I shouldn't have brought it up. I know. And I got really pissed off. And I'm like, you're punishing me because I'm, I don't understand. And she's like, no, listen, Chad, the thing is you think about things at 40,000 foot. You're like, I'm worried about the dishes and the leaves. And you're worried. And I know you're going to grab this meeting and you're going to go all the way and you're going to be all in on it. And your mind's going to be over there while I'm right here having to deal with these damn leaves with the broken foot. And so,
Yeah.
Paul, what am I supposed to do? I don't know how to live, man. For real, dude.
Rake out the ditch.
Yeah.
Well, I did last night. I'm like, I'll fucking show her.
Well,
I came home after 8 hour day and I raked out. I'm raking the leaves. I'm like, I don't give a shit if this takes till 10 o'clock. I'm going to show her, dude. And like and by the end of this, my back is sore and shit. And all of my anger just left. I'm like, she
Dude.
wins.
Dude, this is the benefit. Sam, welcome, and I want to hear what you have to say, but I want to respond to this quick. This is the benefit and the perk of like Rilke. The point is to actually live everything. Because you and I are both that 30,000 foot view, or like my wife will always, I'll start talking about philosophy, or my daughter's like you say, profound but boring things. And my wife will try to listen for a while, and then after about 5 minutes of her trying her best, she'll just be like, okay, let's get practical. Like that. And that's it all the time. And then all of a sudden, maybe God will bless you with kids, and then all of a sudden you have kids, and then all of a sudden you'll love mowing because you'll just be like, get me the hell away from this chaos. like I want to go and mow, and then you have to leave me the hell alone because I'm doing something, and this is loud. Leave me alone. I'm accomplishing something. Go away.
Well, I'm a bankrupt idealist. I mean, the first time I mowed my lawn, I was like mowing my lawn and almost in tears, like, oh my God, this is my lawn. Like I never thought I would have a lawn.
Dude, and this is
then
the other
it went
thing.
away.
This is the other thing related to what I was saying before you even came on. God redeems everything. This is Christ consciousness. God's in everything. You went out there to just be like, I'll show you. And then you raked the ditch, and then your back hurt. You got in your body, and then all of a sudden you were just like, and repentance. The actual doing it led to your repent. You did it for all the wrong reasons, and God redeemed it. It was fantastic. Well, like intentions. Who cares? That's why I say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Stop focusing on intentions.
The hope is that I come to the realization sooner than later, because let me tell you what, it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of painful anguish to go through this crap when this is what I was saying, like my childish woundedness comes out and I start being this little bitch because I am, damn it, don't you know me? Like I've suffered and I got it's like, shut the up, dude. Like grow up, dude.
Totally. Sam or Paul.
I like the view into Paul's kitchen. I'm not sure if we've ever seen Paul's kitchen before.
We have. You just don't check out my live streams where Paul jumps on.
Fair enough.
Why don't you like what Luke likes? Come on.
That's right.
I don't know why. I should just trust all of my subjective judgments of everything to Luke and just outsource it. I'm sorry. You're right.
There's no
I've been
subjective
making mistakes.
objective. There's no subjective objective. There's just personal.
All right. All of my personal judgments just are outsourced. Do you like Chick-fil-A, Luke?
I
know that you're a food particularist.
I am. I like if I'm gonna eat fast food or if the kids eat fast food or whatever, Chick-fil-A is one of the places that we go. Yes. Because we hate gays.
Got to stick it to the alphabet crew. Yeah.
That's a joke,
you
everyone.
Gays? Is that what they serve at Chick-fil-A?
Take it? Yeah. Delicious breaded gays.
So are you
Tastes
telling
like
me?
chicken.
Oh my God, that Chick-fil-A.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna get Nate demonetized.
I don't even think he's
Aren't we on Luke's
monetized.
channel? No, we're on Luke's
Both.
channel.
We're on
Luke's
both.
channel.
I do both.
Luke's channel can't get demonetized.
I simultaneously stream.
Luke is
listen,
preemptively demonetized.
someone, if this person is out there watching right now, someone watched the live stream, my last live stream on my channel, and left about 20 comments, and I felt sympathy for Paul and all my comments, and I was just like, you freak me out. I don't know how. Like, you're too much. And that's just one person.
It is on Grail Country, and there's a lot more people watching over on Grail Country. And Grail Country is probably monetized. He's got 1.9 thousand.
I mean, I don't know how that works. Like, he hasn't gotten the money for himself, but I think it's monetized and making money or whatever. I don't know.
Dude, I'm raking in those YouTube paychecks. I think I've gotten tens of dollars.
Are you gonna have a membership? Are you gonna have a membership fee place, Sam? Are you gonna do a membership thing?
Once they offer me the 1,000 grand deal that they gave to PVK, then I'll jump on the membership thing.
Sam, are you a member of PVK's thing? You're not yet, right?
Yeah.
Are you? You caved.
It was me.
Me and my wife had a whole reevaluation of our charitable giving, and Paul finally got on the dole and I feel a little bit bad about it. I probably should have been doing it for 4 or 5 years, but
I'm a charity.
Sam,
Luke,
the
other Luke is in the membership section. You've got to see him. I talked to him. It's like, this dude is Luke. He's a younger Canadian Luke.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's nicer because he's Canadian.
He's lower in agreeableness than you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Spend the $3. You can cancel the next month. I won't be offended.
No, it's not that. It's not that I don't want it.
Faking.
Listen, I've talked about my first percentile politeness, 88th percentile compassion. So
maybe put me in the charitable giving thing like Sam, and that's how you can justify it.
See, here's the thing.
Pleasure.
I would rather send send you a check personally for $10 a month than do the YouTube thing.
Yeah,
but then you don't get to watch. You got to watch the Laura Liz conversation about feminine energy or whatever you would call it. That's worth the $3 in and of itself.
Dang it, I probably should, because I do love Laura. Laura's great.
All right, guys, I gotta get going. Okay.
All right, I love your rant, Chad. Keep breaking the leads,
Chad. Every husband.
Every husband's been there.
Go out and check out Sleep Token and get a hold of me if you want to do some randos, because I'm taking over on the randos spot. So later.
No, I can't go. Not all randos will be on the open internet, so this little $3 thing is kind of sweet for that.
So is this who the other is this the me you're talking about? Or did you have a talk? Did you have a talk with Paul? Is that who you are?
No, it wasn't Mick Wilson. It wasn't Mick.
I see his comments all the time, and they're flipping fantastic. So, okay, Phlebas says, Paul, what does mid-tier get me? Because I don't see the difference from the lowest. It gets you no wait, no ads.
See, Luke gets it. It gets you no wait, no ads. If you can't wait, get the no wait, no ads. Yeah. If you can wait a few days, because no wait, no ads will be on there for like a week. And then
and the highest tier gets you special access to PVK, but you're sort of diluting the power of that for us, because we get special access to PVK by Luke just throwing up a link.
It's true. Well,
listen, no, actually, supporter gets my phone number.
I have your phone.
I have your phone
I picked you up
too.
from the airport or something, right?
Here I go. I'm putting it in the text. No, I'm just kidding. I don't see. Here's the thing. Like, we've just known each other that long. Like, I've probably texted you outside of when you came and I gave you a ride. I've maybe texted you one time, maybe, because I don't know. I don't like that stuff. I don't like.
I'm not a Hank. I'm not gonna just call you 2 or 3 times a week when I've got some political ideas that I need to divulge to all of my favorite friends.
Oh my Lord! Is that what he does?
Hank and Freddie. Pretty close.
Holy cow. If Hank is calling you on the week to talk about politics and you guys are still friends, that shows how much of a saint you are. The highest tier.
You don't
the
have
highest
to
tier.
talk to Hank, you just have to listen.
Oh.
That's a good point.
The highest tier, I think the highest tier has you give people a massage, right?
I'll come to your house and give you a massage with my massage table, you know, with a hole for the head. Yeah, this is a PVK massage.
Here you go. See, McMassov listens. He knows that you're waiting for the Perusio and you can just talk to everyone forever, Paul. He's heard you. He watches your videos.
So how are we going to have a productive conversation about Barbie on Friday without hurting Luke or Trip or my feelings?
Oh my gosh.
Feelings will be hurt.
What? Feelings will be
hurt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I think I might watch Barbie again Thursday night just so it's like super fresh.
You're doing this just to trigger me, Father Eric. Stop it. I should watch it again too because I want it to be fresh in my mind. I would love to just find the script just to like read through it because I think there's great script points. I think I'll be okay.
Here's what you do. First, you make a copy of it. Then you make an MP3 of it. Then you feed it into Microsoft Word, and it will make a transcript.
And could you play it on 2X? I would like to watch Barbie on 2X.
Yeah, then you can play it on 2X if you make a copy of it, yes.
Sam, you'd watch like a Terrence Malick film on double speed. How dare you?
Only not the first time.
Yes, this is true.
Watched Oppenheimer the other day. Haven't seen Barbie. Opie was interesting for the times, but 100% forgettable. I never saw Oppenheimer. I'm going to see Godzilla tonight with some friends. I've got a bro date. There's
Godzilla?
there's a new Godzilla movie. It's like lighting up the movie review internet. Everyone's saying this movie is awesome.
Rick said it was good.
It's got like a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not heard of this.
We originally endorsed it.
We had originally had a date to see Napoleon, but we switched it to Godzilla because Napoleon's reviews are also kind of middling.
Really?
I bet Napoleon's a lot like Oppenheimer in that it kind of takes a while to do not very much.
I hope not, because I love Joaquin Phoenix. There's a few actors where I will just watch everything they do no matter what. Joaquin Phoenix, Ryan Gosling. Who else? Shia LaBeouf. I'll watch all of them.
All men so far.
Yeah, there's some women. I really love why am I blanking on her name right now? There's some great actresses. She's an Australian. She played
Margot Robbie, Barbie.
I do love Margot Robbie. I think Margot Robbie's
because isn't Margot Robbie
brilliant
Australian?
Actress. She is.
I think she's Australian.
Kate Blanchett. That's who I'm thinking of. Kate Blanchett's fantastic. There aren't any Oppenheimer spoilers. Like here's I want to recommend.
I hear there's a big bombshell kind of in the middle.
Yeah. There's a. That's funny.
If I can get away with that pun.
That is a dad joke.
Yeah.
That is a dad joke.
So there's a. Have you guys ever seen Sam already knows this because I already shared some of it, but there's an Actors on Actors interview with Margot Robbie and Cillian Murphy, because I love Cillian Murphy too. And apparently his people reached out and requested it, because I think he's a fan of hers and she's a fan of his too, I think, because she loves Peaky Blinders because it's awesome. But so it just came out yesterday, but it's actually a really good conversation. And if you know anything about Cillian Murphy, because I'm a fan of his as well, he hates press and publicity and interviews and doesn't even have a smartphone, isn't on social media. And so he kind of hates those things. And you can see him being like a polite Irishman trying to get through them. But he enjoyed that, and it was awesome. Diane Lane. What are you, 85? But I don't know much about Diane Lane. It's all right. It's fine.
Who is your actress crush, Luke? Is
Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, because The Notebook. It's just.
I thought you were gonna say because of Mean Girls, but anyway.
I mean, that's fine too. She's just like, unbelievably charismatic.
You know what movie is underappreciated? Wedding Crashers. Way deeper than you think it is.
Really, I like Owen.
I'm serious. Wedding Crashers. It seems like one of those rompy comedies, which it is, but it's like way deeper than you think it is in terms of all of the stuff that you've been talking about, Luke, and person making and maturity and emptying and picking suffering over pleasure and all those sorts of things. I forget when I watched it again one time, like, this is actually strangely deep.
I don't know. I think I've seen that, but
Rachel McAdams is the main love interest. So
is she? Ooh, yeah. Great Rachel McAdams movie. That's just a fantastic movie. Everybody should watch. About Time.
I haven't seen that one.
It's very good. The same guy, I'm trying to think, the guy who wrote it and directed it was kind of like a passion project of his, is he's really well known for this, it's a famous Christmas movie. What is it? About the airport. He's a British guy. It's like a modern Christmas movie people watch all the time. I can't think of it.
Oh, Love Actually?
Yes.
Speaking of Love Actually, I think that Keira Knightley might have been my celebrity actress crush.
Also very charismatic lady. Midnight in Paris is fantastic. And I love that movie. That's a very good one. You're right. Correct. Dude, I love movies. I was trying to make, this last weekend, I was solo for a while. My family left me, which felt weird. I was kind of like a lost little puppy. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I was thinking about having like a bunch of friends over or guys over and having a movie night or something. But Sam, to your point, I'm not an organizer. And so I didn't plan it very well, didn't give people time. And also I just think my phase of life, it's hard to, I don't know, that just feels like something college people do, or people with a lot more time, just like have a bunch of people over to watch a movie. It didn't work, needless to say.
Yeah.
But
speaking of husband issues, those solo nights, or when you're on a business trip, it's just like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do now? Like, I've forgotten.
You don't go down to the bar and look for hookers. That's what business people do, right?
Gross. No. I just can't even fathom that kind of a world. Like I was talking to a buddy who lives in a different part of town the other day, and I'm just like, I don't even know how I would, if I were wanting to solicit a prostitute, I don't even know how I would go about doing it.
Yeah. Most drugs I wouldn't even know how to buy. Like if you said, Sam, get drug XYZ without getting in prison by midnight, I might fail. I would
I'll hook you up,
all right.
Sam.
I'll call Paul. I'm like,
Paul knows how to get drugs.
Drugs are easy to get.
I think that I found
prostitutes too.
Are they?
But the kind of prostitutes you see in movies, not the kind of prostitutes I know.
Julia Roberts isn't out just working the corner everywhere.
I've never seen anyone look like Julia Roberts on Florin Road.
I watched My Best Friend's Wedding, Julia Roberts movie, the other night with one of my daughters the other day. It's good. I like
that one. Actually, is pretty good. Pretty good.
You know what I saw the other night? I saw it's Sandra Bullock and
Speed.
She was a romance writer, and she gets kidnapped. It was fun. I got a recommendation within my wife. In that Who Murdered Hollywood, the guy mentioned 3 movies. My wife said, we should see those movies. I said, okay. We had already seen one of them. And then we watched, my brain is totally going. Then we watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino movie. That was fun. And then, what was the name of it? Because it started out, and my wife is like, they recommended this. I said, you got to give it time, honey. Hang on. And it was fun. It was fun. She gets kidnapped by Harry Potter and goes to a mountain with a volcano. I mean, all these tropes. And it was good to see Sandra Bullock in a movie again, because, female Hollywood leads tend to have a pretty short shelf life, and they sort of push them to the side for the newer, hotter models. So,
who's the one that there's? Why am I forgetting her name? She was married to Ben Affleck. She was in Alias.
Jennifer Lopez?
No. Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, she has managed to get past the hotness phase and still has sort of like career being the mom in a lot of movies. And, not a lot of women make it past, like, say, 35 in Hollywood. And
but some of these women are going to be beautiful at any age. I mean, she's
but she's not.
Good job, Paul. Good job.
I was going to say something. Why? One of my complaints about Barbie, and like maybe this would have been just too cliche to do without being cheesy, but like movies nowadays seem to not want the woman to fall in love with the man because that's like anti-feminist in some way. That
because men are evil.
Because men are evil, right? And so loving the man would be loving the evil.
I mean, you're essentially like voting for the patriarchy if you fall in love with a man.
I guess maybe that's the motivation, but it's related to what Paul's video was about today in terms of like why can't men and women get together? Oh, hi, puppy.
Who needs a woman when you got a dog?
I think it's who needs a baby when you've got a dog.
No, it was deeper. It was even deeper than this, McMossive. It was women. A lot of those women are going to be beautiful when they're old. It was like an anti-ageist feminist. Paul hit a lot of the identitarian virtue signals with that comment. It was great. And it was genuine. He wasn't even trying to virtue signal.
See, where is Vivian when we need her?
Yeah. She's not here because
she's not in Grail country.
She knows what a misogynist I am.
So when's the last time that there was like a really good, compelling modern romance movie where like a guy and a girl fall in love and it's like compelling and interesting, believable, but like set in contemporary time?
500 Days of Sunshine. There you go. JGL, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's also a stud. And Zooey Deschanel.
You mean 500 Days of Summer?
Summer, there you go.
That was in 2009. That's 14 years ago.
Oops.
I went like in the last couple years, like post-COVID.
They don't make those movies anymore, remember?
Yeah, because
I know, but why not?
You didn't watch my video, The Death of Cinema. He explains the whole thing. Who killed cinema? It's a murder mystery. Got to watch that video, Sam.
Okay. Paul, your recent, I haven't finished it. I just started this morning because it was actually connected. So Sam, if you watch Paul's today, it's actually connected a lot to the lectures that Sarah sent. I sent you this in the Signal.
Yeah.
About the myth of modern romance and everybody being best friends and things, because it was, I don't know who her name is. I've seen her in all your videos talking to Chris Williamson, whatever. That
Louise Perry.
Louise
She's
Perry.
amazing.
Yeah, she sounds really brilliant.
I was shocked. She's younger than me. Like, I don't know why. I just thought like she looks like a mature, put together lady. And I think that I'm younger than mature, put together ladies. And then she like makes an offhand comment about her age. I'm like, what?
I know. It's humbling, isn't it, when these young people are so smart?
Yeah. It's like, what have I done with my life? Exactly. All I have is 2.1 thousand subscribers, and I need to make a video correcting the record that St. Nicholas did not slap Arius on, at the Council of Nicaea. That's a video. What?
He didn't?
No. That's like a total urban legend. No one in the 4th century said anything about it. It's like from some hagiography in like the Middle Ages. Nothing to do
got to be the Orthodox. They just keep making stuff up.
Yes, those hagiographers will, do anything. And even in the hagiography, St. Nick gets in trouble for doing it. But anyway, it didn't happen. Gotta set the record straight.
It didn't happen.
Got to do the modernist fact check debunking thing.
That's right.
Actually, the main point of the video is it's not nice to slap people. So why are we celebrating people for slapping people?
But can women slap men? Because you see it all the time. And nobody says anything.
I mean,
have you ever seen a woman slap a man? Like real kind?
They're always hitting men. They're pushing them. They're shoving them.
In movies and stuff? See, I've seen this stuff
like
in real life.
Women hit
real life.
Well, listen,
like Paul, full intended slap.
Paul lives where he lives. See, you grew up too like white collar. I grew up like in a trailer house. I mean, I've seen this kind of stuff.
Right.
So,
Paul was saying I grew up in too nice of a neighborhood to know the Pentecostal preachers who tell you what to do with your life. My Pentecostal preachers didn't tell us to do anything. It was too libertine, if anything.
Okay, Paul, what about this controversial idea? I want to get you into trouble. It's one that
I have 6 minutes, and then I got to talk to the Germans and the Europeans.
Okay, well, we'll cover this easily in 6 minutes. I've been thinking increasingly lately that inasmuch like we live in a malevolent matriarchy as much as we live in a malevolent patriarchy, because the whole idea of like canceling people and emotionally ostracizing them and kicking them out of your identitarian group is
totally feminine.
That's a feminine thing.
That's all feminine. It's there a lot of the. I mean, it's what Peterson's been saying forever. So much communal control is feminine, especially in a non-violent space.
Yeah,
violence.
That's the thing. Yeah, if you want to talk about the patriarchy would be like, you piss me off, I grab you by the hair.
Yeah, you can't throw me out of the group until you beat me in a fight. Me and my buddies, right? And
that's the patriarchy.
Yeah. And even then, once I lose in the fight, I'm still in the group. I just know where I stand on the hierarchy afterwards. And then we're buddy-buddy again. This
canceling where we're not going to talk to you anymore? Who does that?
Mean Girls. It's the popular table at the Mean Girls cafeteria.
Yeah.
But don't you think there's people that would watch just this little 30 seconds that we've said and said that everything we're doing is like patriarchal?
That's why Vivian should be here.
We are patriarchs
right away.
Yeah, that's just the thing. It's like, because that's the thing. If you exclude someone, like say, that kind of groupthink where it's all the patriarchy, that little closed circle, if you exclude anyone like me or you guys apparently who would be willing to say that to you, then you're trapped. You're in the closed circle of the serpent. Like, you can't fix that.
Computer manufacturers are racist because the camera just does not capture my black dog. You know, just can't see her, and she's female. I mean, she just lives with her teeth. All right, how much time do I got? 4 minutes till I got to get on with Cassidy and
you know, the real patriarchy is the dads who will rake the leaves in spite because their wives challenged them to do so, and then realize that they were tricked at the end, but they didn't mind. That's the real patriarchy.
Yeah,
well, and not even tricked. It's just like you do it out of some weird misaligned love, you know, which has some pride, but in the doing, you find communion. So it's I don't.
You want to know the shadow matriarchy? Cleaning up after my dog every single time.
Oof.
If this was a patriarchy in this house, this yard would be littered with dog shit. No, I've got a little baggie, and I'm gonna go clean up after this dog. There's the shadow matriarchy at work.
Figuratively,
right? At work is Chad raked up those leaves, you know.
Last question for Paul. What definition of literally do you accept?
None. Well, it literally has to do with literature, physically.
So use literal in a sentence.
Shakespeare was a literal genius.
Ooh.
Isn't it, when you say Shakespeare was a literary genius, like, isn't that the adjective of literature, is literary?
Is that the bastardization of English? Shakespeare.
I mean, I think
in his grave.
Isn't like the original definition of literal is I'm not using a figure of speech. Like, it rained 2 inches last night, as opposed to saying it rained cats and dogs last night,
right?
Or something like that,
right? So that's what I grew up with. So then when people will say, like, my kids do that now, they'll just be like, this person, you know, was just there and they were shoving their face, literally.
Yeah, and that's a corruption.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's like, I mean, this figurative speech even more exaggerated than just plain figure of speech. Yeah. It was raining cats and dogs, literally.
Physically.
But they'll also say things that are just like, you know, just a saying. They'll be like, I was typing on the keyboard, literally. I'm like, you don't have to say that, because you just, in saying it, that's what everyone assumes, is that you were actually doing that thing. Sam is right. What isn't Sam right about? Am I right?
You're right.
I'm apparently wrong about Barbie, but we can talk about that in 2 days.
It's not even. So here's the thing. It's not even that you're wrong, because the wrong or right thing is like that's the binary. That's fine. It's more just that, and you know this. You get this about me. You've said it as much. It's more just like it's like that Viktor Frankl quote. I want you to love me so much that you see some degree of what I'm seeing in it. Like, that's what I want. I just want to be loved.
I'll watch it Thursday night and do a think about the things that Luke was saying, viewing, person making and stuff like that. Because there is the meet your maker scene at the end.
Yeah.
But it's like, as far as meet your maker scenes go, it's like.
Would you take it over The Matrix 3 or 2 or whenever it happened? 3?
The Matrix, 2 or 3 had a good meet your maker scene. That was like we originally made the Matrix so nice because we thought that that's what you guys would like, but you guys kept waking up, so we had to make it kind of miserable so that you guys wouldn't.
They made a Matrix that didn't lack the lack. Now I need to think about Peter Rollins in regard to the Matrix. And it was contrary to being itself and didn't work.
In general, I feel like the Matrix 2 and 3 are not like super great, if I remember. But I only watched them once a while ago, probably when they came out.
I mean,
but
it's
Matrix,
just hard.
The first Matrix is just so unbelievably good. It's like
it's hard to top that one. I remember watching that one in the theater, and it was like that's probably the closest thing that like people my age have to watching like the first Star Wars.
Yeah, where it just was blowing your mind.
Yeah,
the special effects, and then that in this crazy mind-bending story all at the same time. Yeah, that was something.
All right, I gotta go. I got another meeting. So
all right,
bye, y'all.
See you, Paul.
Okay, I should go. People are starting to get to the office on the West Coast.
I should probably go too and do other things. Matthew, you just got here. Buenos dias.
Yeah.
Adios.
All right.
Oh,
Adios.
what I didn't see. Somebody needs to pray. Cato. Oh, for the Matrix films being overrated. Nice joke. I get a joke. All right. Well, thanks for jumping in, Sam, and we will leave it there, people.
Talk to you later.
Till
next time.